Hello lovelies, welcome to the channel. Today's video is a 12 by 12 scrapbook layout. It's a very mixed media layout. We know how much I love my mixed media. This layout was done for the April Scrap the Boys challenge, and this month's challenge was Let's Go Geo, so it was all about geometric shapes. And when I saw this challenge, I had an idea for this layout straight away. I knew I wanted to use as many geometric stamps in my background as I could possibly get away with and have like a big pop of colour to map my photo. So knowing what I wanted to do, I went through my stash and thought, what medium would I like to use to do this? I can use my inks, or I can use mist. I could use, paint. In the end, I decided to go for my Colour Blast shimmer powders. I love these. They're so awesome. They're a pigment powder, and when you activate them with water, it's sort of like a watercolour. I have a lot of fun playing with these. I don't play with them nearly enough because I think it's one of those supplies that I like to try and hoard. Now, we know how much I do this with my favourite supplies. I tend to not use them as much as I normally would because I love them so much and I don't want to use them up. I want to save them for all my pretty things and, basically hoard them, which is a ridiculous thing to do, and I'm really trying to stop doing that. So I thought I'd crack them out and mix some up with some water and go to town doing my background. Now, when I try and do backgrounds with paintbrushes, it never works the way I plan. I find it's too controlled. It's not messy enough for me. I really like messy. I like chaotic. I don't like symmetric. I'm a little strange like that. But that's why I love the packaging technique so much, because it's just everywhere. It's totally me. So when I like to use paintbrushes now and then, but I find when I do it, I can't get it to look any good. But, you know what they say, practice makes perfect, so I thought I'd give it a go. And I'm finding that by adding water to my page first, it's giving this a lot more movement, which I really love. And it's not so much me painting on the colour, it's more me adding colour to a wet background and watching it bleed, which was much more to my liking. So the picture I've chosen is one of both of my boys. They were wrestling around on the bed and being all cute and stuff. So I have many photos of the boys, and what happens is when I do my Project Life, I print off my photos for the week, and then there'll be a few photos from that week that I want to do a layout of, so I'll put them to the side of my desk, and whenever I feel in the scrappy mood, I'll pick one up and I'll scrap it. So this photo just happened to work perfectly for the challenge. So yeah, I've got it out. Oh, did you see my disaster? It could have been worse. I dropped my Mr. bottle on my shimmer powder water tray thingy that I had out, and I managed to get some of it everywhere. And because nothing goes to waste in my art room, I decided to use one of my art journals to mop it up and have a mini art journal background ready to go. Now, I knew I wanted to use a stencil in a bold pattern to sort of stand out from the stamps that I'm going to use. And I remembered I had this stencil. This is one of my favorites. I love the bold triangles that I can get. And I was tossing up between using plain black gesso or color paste. I decided to go with the gesso, mostly I think because I didn't want any more shimmer. I just wanted that bold black on my page. And yes, my paint did leak under my stencil, but I go with it, It's a mixed media background. It just adds to the grungy look. I end up getting one of my favourite pens and doodling around these triangles anyway, so it doesn't end up looking that bad. I wanted two areas of these triangles, one pointing down, one pointing up, sort of pointing at my photo to draw your attention to my photo. So that's what I'm aiming for. Yes, the triangles are going in different directions mostly, but it still gives the look that I'm looking for. It gives that whole directional movement towards my photo. So I found I had extra paint left on my makeup sponge, so I just put it onto my acrylic block, add some water, and then I'm adding, using a fine paintbrush to add some splatters, just because I wanted a bit more of that black in the background. I wanted some black splatters to sort of pop off that blue area as well. So this is what I was talking about before. I've just grabbed a pen. This is my Feud Board pen. I love this pen because if the paint's not dry, it doesn't kill it, and it's a nice bold line. I am notorious for killing paint pens, so I tend to shy away from them, which is mostly all about my impatience. I just don't wait for paint to dry properly, and I tend to kill them, which is a real bummer. So I really got to work on that. So what I've got now is I'm going through some of my favorite background stamps. I have a lot of stamps, but I do have this little tub that sits on my desk, and it holds some of my favorite backgrounds. And I'm just going through this tub, and I'm pulling out anything geometric that I can use for this layout. So I've got a circle in there, like a coffee stain thing. I've got some chevrons. I've got some spots. I got diamonds, pretty much anything that I could find. Now, when I started with this chevron one, I don't like it. Same thing happens when I do an art journal page. I find that when I start doing it, it looks like a hot mess, and that's where this layout's heading right now. But then I find the more I work with it, the happier I get. And I do end up getting much happier with this layout when I put that coffee ring circle stamp onto it, which you will see in a minute. But yeah, so right now I'm trying to add, another thing I hate about block stamps is when you stamp them, you get a rectangle or a square, and I hate that look, I really do. So I've learned over, the time using these stamps that if you sort of bend them and fold them and things, you can get different looks out of them. But I wasn't on a roll tonight, and I wasn't getting the look I liked at all with any of these stamps. But it adds to the grungy feel, and we know how much I love grungy mixed media layouts, so I stick with it. Now I decided to bring in this circle stamp, and I think this is where I start to get much happier with it. It sort of gives it a bit more dimension. So this circle stamp sort of ties in and jumps to the front, if it makes sense. It's like it's pushing all of those other stamps towards the back, and it's bringing these circles to the front. So I get my pen and do a few doodly lines around them as well, just to help make them stand out a bit more and sort of come to the front away from all these other background stamps that I wasn't overly happy with. And I feel that by doing that, it sort of draws your attention more to the circles and pushes those other stamps to the background, so they're not as in your face and just weird looking to me. And I found that this made me feel much happier with the layout. So now I'm going to stick my photo down. I think I'm done with my background. I'm happy with it. And yeah, I think it matches the criteria for a geometric challenge. It's the first time I've actually focused on shapes and things for a layout as opposed to a medium, which is pretty interesting. So now I'm just going to add a doodly border. I enjoy adding squiggly borders to my mixed media layouts. I feel that it just helps keep everything on the page and just adds to that, what's the word? I don't want to say grungy look again, but I think that's the word I'm looking for. It just adds to that, that mixed media feel. So now I'm going to adhere my photo down, and then I'm going to think about embellishing and putting a title on. At this point, I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. This background is very busy, so I felt it didn't really need a lot of embellishing. And while I did want to add a title to begin with, by the time I've done my background and I've put my photo down where it's going to go, I'm not really sure that I even want to put a title on, honestly. I was going to go with Brothers or something, but then as you can see, I don't really have the space for it, and I really did enjoy this background so much that I didn't really want to take away from it. So in the end, I go through my DIY embellishment clusters that I've made, and I find one with a love heart that says Totally Rad, I think, and I decide to use that as my embellishing and as my title. I don't add anything else. I do add some journaling and down in the bottom corner, and I feel that balances out the rest of the layout. So because I've done that, I'm really happy with the fact that I don't have a title and I don't really have any more embellishing. I feel that because the background is so busy, it really didn't need any embellishing, but I've used this little DIY made cluster as a title, so I feel that that's why it doesn't look so weird and out of place. So now I'm just going to add a few little sprinkles of, I call them my little sprinkle clusters. So I've got enamel dots and bling, and I feel like that helps with the lack of embellishing, but also to tie everything in that triangle look. So I've got my photo, my little cluster embellishment, and then I've got my cluster of sprinkles next to my journaling. So I feel that works to draw your eye around the layout. So in the end, I'm really happy with this layout. So thank you for watching, and I will be back real soon with another video. Bye for now.